This is Everlasting Lucifer, episode 29. And we've left Kaitaki at the mill pond just at the back of the Rushcutters pub. There were footsteps and a herbal scent. She opened her eyes and yawned. "Hi, sorry, would it be all right," a young voice asked politely, "for me to smoke here?" Kaitaki smiled. "It's fine," she said. "Thanks." He sat a few feet away. After a while he said, "Did you want any? It's weed." "I noticed," Kaitaki said. "No thanks." "Oh no one ever wants to smoke. I shouldn't have asked," the youth mumbled. "It's nice you asked," she said. "I smoke a lot now," the young man said. He edged a bit closer. "Oh," Kaitaki said, "you're Jonathan's nephew." "Yes, did you meet him?" "I used to know him in Oxford," she said. "In fact, I knew him before he was with his wife. He kind of dumped me for her." "I wouldn't worry," said Andrew indiscreetly. "They're miserable." Kaitaki chuckled. "Yes, he mentioned that." "So is everyone, though," he said. "The system seems to be fucked." Kaitaki laughed. "You think there's a system?" She thought about it. "I can see what you mean." "What do you think?" he said. "About what?" "You know. Do you like what you do? Is it good, being older?" She laughed again. "Are you asking for a review?" How many stars would I give it?" She considered, listening to the mill race. "Product does not resemble illustration shown," she said eventually. Andrew sighed. "That's what I wondered," he said. "It changes, though," Kaitaki said. "How do you mean?" I think..." She felt her feet, which had become cold and damp. "When I was younger, I didn't think about the future much. Freedom was probably the main thing I thought about. I guess that is a form of thinking about the future. I mean, assuming everything will be fine." "Are you sure you don't want even a toke?" Andrew said urgently. Kaitaki held out her hand. She inhaled. She said, "that's a lot stronger than I'm used to." She took another puff and handed back the joint. "So what are the good bits?" Andrew said. Said Kaitaki. She felt woozier than she would have expected, and her mouth was dry. "Well, love, basically, and moments of not thinking, being with friends, not worrying." He finished the joint. "I don't worry," he said. "I mean, when I've got weed. It's not good if, like, my dealer goes away or something, though." Kaitaki considered this. "I'd better go and find Jonathan," the boy said. She watched him go in, then she carried on walking. On the other side of the pub, the lawn narrowed into a gully. Probably this was where barrels and supplies went in. She had rounded the corner before she heard voices and almost bumped into Elsa. Tom was with her. They were talking intently, and his hand was on her shoulder. "Oh, so sorry." Kaitaki had turned and left before either could speak. Her embarrassment at having intruded was stronger than curiosity. But what was going on? She shrugged away the last tug of possessiveness about Tom. Again, briefly, but concretely, she missed Faith. When she went back inside, Thaddeus, the Green Knights, Ian the Rushcutter, and Neil were all at a table with high-backed benches. Everyone seemed to have been drinking seriously for a while. "But folk music," the tallest, angriest Green Knight was saying. "It's not exactly for today, is it?" No, the Irish singer said. "You don't understand. Folk music isn't from yesteryear. It's from now. It's from any time, including the future, including today, including tomorrow." "Can you explain that?" said the landlord, leaning his enormous head forward. "Well, it's like there might be a nightingale and a fair maid in a song, but there might also be a trip to Penny's, Primark, and a spaceman." "Isn't that more like pop?" asked another Green Knight with red hair. "You've an erroneous conception of—" "Kaitaki," said Neil, jumping up. He had knocked over 2 glasses. "Oh, fuck." "You idiot," said Geraint, the angry knight. He stood up, dripping. Thaddeus rose. He seemed to be wider than a door and stouter than oak. "Albert," he said, "go and get a cloth. We're all going to remain calm, like the good friends we are." And he reseated Geraint by the simple method of pressing down on his shoulder, as on a button that had mistakenly sprung up. Albert hurried off, and the other knights stood back from the wet table. Kaitaki returned to the corridor in search of Pete, half thinking it might be a good idea to find him before he ran into Tom and Elsa. In the now quiet, shadowy Wettle room, she found Pete at a table with Richard Kerrigan and the 2 young women from the bathroom. "Oh, hi," Pete said. He looked relaxed. "Hi," said Kaitaki. The night was wearing on with incredible slowness. How many centuries had they been here? Richard Kerrigan was telling a story. When he finished, both the girls, Lisa and Katie, laughed a lot. A shadow moved out of the corner. the dog from earlier. He left the room. "I'm really tired," Keithley said to Pete. "Find everyone," Pete said. "Maybe Tom's sober enough to drive." Keithley sighed. "I forgot this isn't the kind of place where you can get a taxi." Pete rolled his eyes. "I'll ask the landlord," she said. In the front bar she paused. Jonathan Carlyle was asleep, head down on the table. The dog, a collie cross, lay on the bar and looked at her with intelligent eyes. "Could I get a whiskey and ginger?" Keithley asked. The dog looked deprecating and crossed his front paws. "I know," Keithley said. "Taps can't be easy." His tail began to thump. Keithley found Thaddeus in the sidebar, peacefully chatting to the knights. She went up to him. "Yes, my lovely lass," he said. "I'm sorry to bother you, Thaddeus," she said. She sat on the arm of the settle and rested a palm on his massive shoulder. "I'm just really tired." "Aye, it's late enough. I'm not sure what to do about getting home." "To the Hursts?" "Yes, I can get into the house, but we seem to be missing 2 people." Thaddeus sucked in his lower lip. His extraordinary face looked like one of the president's heads at Mount Rushmore. "Albert will take you in the skiff, and then the van," he said, "and Argus will go with you." "Who?" said Keithley. Albert smiled. "The dog." "When do you want to go, maid?" "Oh, she's already asleep." Keithley nodded. The world was swimming. She thought of her rooms in Guwahati, in Delhi, realized with surprise she wasn't in either of those places, wondered what her aunt was up to, thought of eating rice, felt a vague sadness. In her pocket, her phone began to buzz. She took it out. Babe. She looked at it with surprise, but on the 3rd ring the battery died. Still, the thing to concentrate on now was sleep. "Albert," said Thaddeus. "I'm ready," Albert said. "Can you bring Argus to the front?" Keithley followed them to the bar. Thaddeus held Argus's collar and bent to say things into the dog's ear. The dog inclined his fine head to listen. Then Thaddeus moved back, and Argus got to his feet and poured himself off the bar to land lightly on the floor. Keithley felt she was both floating and drowning in the surface of things. Thaddeus held open the door, and Keithley, Albert, and Argus went outside. The darkness was loamy. It was like Guinness, chocolate mousse, velvet. Albert followed the dog into the skiff. Keithley turned. Thaddeus stood, massive and reassuring, at the end of the land. "Thank you for coming to the Rushcutters," he said. "I loved it," Keithley said. She put up her arms and hugged him. Gingerly, enormous hands touched her shoulders. "Albert and Argus will see you home," he said. "Sleep well." Trees massed over the river, and the sky was made of thought and hope. The water was inky, distressing. Albert talked, a page of optimism. She couldn't understand the signs he used, the words, if that is what they were, but he kept up a stream of remarks, and Keithley, to her own bemusement, heard someone with a clear yet husky voice respond. She felt a bump in her lower back. The boat had docked. Argus got out first. Then Albert tied up the boat, got out, and helped Keithley. There was soft, damp grass, and the metal of a van door, the sound of an engine, and a moment before that, or perhaps years earlier, Albert's voice saying, "Did you say there was a key?" "Last but one in the dog feed," said Keithley. She gestured at the greenhouse and sat down in the gravel of the drive. Centuries passed. The Romans, the Visigoths, the Dark Ages, the Renaissance, the Ahoms, Honkodeb, the Burmese invasion. Oh God, if there could only be bedding into which to put her face. But Albert appeared. The back door was opened. He said something about her friends. Keithley said yes. Argus's warm, intelligent eyes telegraphed a message to Dexter, who was barking at the door, and she was up the stairs. The darkness closed in. As she fell into sleep, she heard her own body, letting out strange moans of relief.